Okay, hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So in today's video I'm gonna be trying to teach you some ways you can start I'm gonna be showing you how to make out constellations in the sky, and just sharing some interesting stuff as well. So yeah, let's get started. So before we start, okay, one of the tips at the beginning of the book was one of the things at the beginning of the book is that it kind of explains some things before getting started, but I'm gonna do it differently. Okay, so the first thing you're gonna want to do is find a map of your sky. So this one actually has all of the months of the year, and for the north and south horizon, both north and south horizons, as well as the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere. So I already found mine, or did I? March, April. Okay, well, we're in April, but I don't know this particular sky because I've only done it in the summer. I've only done this in the summer. So it's gonna have to be the July map of the sky. Okay, so let's get started. I am in the northern hemisphere, and I do only look at the northern horizon. Behind it is the south horizon, but I'm just gonna be showing you about the north. Okay, so you see this over here, these are the magnitudes. I don't know if you can see or not. Let me show you the magnitudes, and then up here is the time. Normally I do it, I've done it all these times, but the shift isn't that extreme, so you'd still be able to see most of these constellations. I think some of the ones that you won't be able to see at a certain time is probably the ones on the edges. Maybe the ones up here, probably not. I think you'd still be able to see here, because it is the northern hemisphere. There's a circumpolar zone, which is where a section of the earth, section of the sky that the earth is still able to, that we are still able to see, still visible to us. Okay, so for example, this is the earth and it's spinning on this axis around the sun, like this. And it's spinning like this. I really don't know if I'm spinning it the right way or the wrong way, but this is what I mean. Okay, so even though it's spinning around like this part of this part of the north part of the world is still able to see the sky that's up here. If that makes any sense. So yeah, it'll still be able to see that sky, that part, the north sky. Okay. So now I'll explain the magnitudes. So I guess another thing you can, that would help, I guess, is knowing that the sun rises in the east and it sets on the west. Yeah. And oh, and as I was saying, the circumpolar zone has the constellations Ursa Major, Ursa Minor, Cassiopeia, Cepheus, Draco, Camelopardus. All of which I know except Camelopardus. I've never found that one. And it's that one right there. But I think it's because of whoops. That one right there. Because of I guess trees in the way. Anyways, back to the magnitude. So, this is kind of this confused me at first because you would assume that the higher the number, the brighter the star, but no. It's actually the opposite way. Kind of like cameras and the apertures and the shutter speed. It was confusing, but anyways. The higher the number, the more faint it is. The higher the number, the faint it is. The lower the number, the brighter it is. There's even magnitudes of 0 and negative magnitudes, which is on this side. These are the brighter stars. And then, as you can see, these ones are small. It goes from super tiny to increasing in size. And then the negatives are on this side. And then Canopus is probably negative, less than negative 0.49. And then Sirius, even more brighter than Canopus. So, and then you see all of this here. They're the stars of the sky. So, for example, that big white circle is actually a very bright star. And that's actually Vega. Yeah, is actually one of the brightest stars. And there's a group of stars that are like the brightest, and these are part of them. And I know that this one is too, Vega. Oh, and one more thing that I forgot to mention. That one, I don't know if you can see the line, the outline of that. It's like a, whoops. Yeah, I don't think you'll be able to see it, but it has a line outside of it. What that means, variable, what it means is that it varies from brightness. It can be very faint and it can be very bright depending on a variety of things, I would assume. So keep that in mind. Okay, so before I continue, I'm gonna try to see if there's anything else I wanted to mention. Okay, so once you have your map chosen out, and then you just kind of go through the information that you need to go through, then the next step is to choose a starting point in the sky. Okay. The starting point would be the point in the sky you can easily identify. So for me, and what I read in the book is actually that, well, I didn't know this at first, but I just read through the book, and then I realized that the Big Dipper is actually the starting point for many people, and then after going through some of the information here, I understood why, and I understood that it's because it has some of the brightest stars. Can you see? So you can actually easily spot this because you'll know that there's gonna have to be a group of stars, bright stars. So what I do is I usually locate this Big Dipper, and the Big Dipper is actually an asterism. It's not an actual constellation. It's part of a constellation, but it's not known as its own constellation. It's just a group of stars that are well known. So then you draw out the dipper, or you try to sorry, in mind you're gonna know that you're gonna try to draw out, that you're gonna try to find the Big Dipper onto the sky. So knowing that helps you locate the rest of the stars. So if you find a bright star, just try to find if it matches the image you have in your mind of what a dipper looks like. And if it's not it, then you keep searching. Okay, so once you identify the Big Dipper, you identify the rest of the constellation. So the head, the legs, the back legs and the front legs. And so then once you have it set, keep practicing and try to find the guide constellation, the guided stars, or the set point, the starting point. So then once you look at the sky, you automatically can find it, know where it is, and can start off faster. So then from here, I would say that the guide star that will lead you to the next constellation will be that one right there. Dub. I think that's what it's called. Think of that as the guide star. So think of the dipper pouring out water, and it's just gonna have to be this one because this is where the water will fall out. This is where the arrow will guide you to the next constellation. So what I would actually do is I would find another one that I would want to find in the sky, and then I'd choose a star. So for example, this is my guide star. Okay, what constellation do I want to guide it to? So then Ursa Minor. Okay, so then I find a star that connects with this one. Okay, so then it connects with Polaris, which is actually the northern star. This one is actually a variable star. It can be pretty faint and it can actually be pretty bright, depending on the factors. And so this one actually is like a little dipper. This is actually Ursa Minor, Ursa Major, and Ursa Minor. This is supposed to be a small version of that one, but as you can see, there's no legs. So this one, I guess you could say, is actually known as the Little Dipper. So then you go and you start connecting the dots, trying to make the figure on the sky, and once you have it, then you're set. Then once you're done with that one, then you go and choose, okay, what constellation do I want to do next? And I actually try doing the ones that are close by for the reason that I can easily go back to this one. Okay, so from Polaris, I jump to Cassiopeia. You see that tip right there? So that's pretty close by, so why not make the connection there? So from Polaris, I jump over to that star. And from looking at the chart, I think, okay, well, it has to be an upside down house. So then I start making my way up and trying to make the figure onto the sky. I've never actually done the lines that are coming out from it. It actually looks like an upside down sky, upside down house with arms. Okay, but that's something else. Okay, so then after I go and I identify it, I make the figure onto the sky and find it. Then I go back to the starting point, which is that star. That's the guide. From there, I would jump to this one, try making the figure out for this one. You see that? That's a pretty bright star, so you, this one's actually made up of pretty bright stars too. So it seems like it would be a good, identifiable constellation. So from there, I think, okay, well, it's gotta be a bright star, pretty bright star. So then I go and I jump onto it, and then I start making the constellation. Okay, well, it looks like an M, so I try to find the figure onto the sky. It looks like an upside down M is what they say, or you can say W. These actually have stories behind them. I actually read the story of this one. I wouldn't be able to tell you it right now because I've forgotten the details and all that stuff. And also the Ursa Major and Ursa Minor have their story. They all have their stories. Draco, Cepheus, all of these. They have their mythological story. Hercules, Boots. Okay. So these are actually the set of stars that I know. And one plus one more. I actually know Draco. I can't remember how I got to Draco, but I can identify it. I don't know if it's because of this star. Knowing that there's a line in between the Ursa Major and the Ursa Minor, or if it's because of this kite. This would actually be the head. I think it's a dragon or snake. I call it the snake because Draco reminds me of Harry Potter, and Harry Potter, there's a snake. I forgot the association between everything, but I either start here on this line of stars because they're pretty faint. They seem fainter than the ones in between, so, or if it's because of that bright star and the kite shaped head over here, and then I'm able to trace it on the sky. So those are all of the ones that I know. I know I've I know Orion. I know Orion's constellation of Orion. I think Orion's belt is actually an asterism as well. People know the little 3 stars that you see in the sky. They're pretty bright, but they're actually part of the constellation of Orion. Also, what else did I want to say? Okay, so I just wanted to show you the rest of them. Just show you what they remind me of, or what they look like to me. So Hercules, yeah, he looks like a man holding that bow and arrow thing. And then this Boots looks like a human on 4s. Cygnus looks like a pterodactyl sitting on the floor with a long neck. And that's pretty much it. This looks like an upside